Today we're going to study Berachot, page 55, some word of introduction, especially for the new one. This page is fascinating. It's a lot of very interesting stories and halachot. Begins with a length of prayer, continuing with different phases of dreams. So we're going today to a special journey. I would like to begin with the very bottom of page 54b. The Gemarah said as follows: ואמר רב יהודה שלושה דברים המעריך בהם מעריכים ימיו ושנותיו של אדם. There are three things that someone make it long, it prolong the days of a person. One, המעריך בתפילתו, someone who make a long prayer. Two, המעריך על שולחנו, one who make a long time of his table, and Rashi right away explain שמתוך כך עניים באים ומתפרנסים, which means poor people come and beneficial from that partake of his meal. Number three, והמעריך בבית הכיסא, one who spend long time in the bathroom, which means Rashi said רפואה לו, it's good for his health. Now the Gemarah challenged that, and it said ואמר רבי חייא בר אבא אמר רבי יוחנן כל המעריך בתפילתו מעיין בה סוף בא לכאב לב. So on the other hand, there is another memra that said that someone who prolongs his prayer, it creates some type of pain in his heart. The sentence that they use here is from the book of Proverbs, chapter 13, that said, "Tochelet memushacha," prolonged prayer, make the heart sick. Why? So Rashi explained, and he said, "Omer belibo shetease bakashato lefi shehitpalel bekavana." A person thinks, because I pray with the full intent, so here am I made an effort to be in a prayer, I'm praying, so he expecting that God right away respond positively to his request, and then ke'ev lev she'en bakashato nesed, all of a sudden disappointed because his request did not fulfill. It's like my teacher used to say, a person come with a laundry list to the synagogue. Look, God, I made a great effort. It was hard for me to leave a freezing cold atmosphere outside my house, and it was a warm bed. Or I didn't sleep enough at night, and now I make an effort to come. So now in exchange, help me that my stocks should go up. You know, so the ein bakashato ne'enet. So how come it's like two contradicted statements? So go further. ואמר רבי יצחק שלושה דברים מזכירים עוונותיו של אדם. Guess what? If you go that well, in you thought that God, you're expecting God to reward you right away for certain thing you do, so מזכירים עוונותם, they're going to recall by God, by heavenly court. Rashi, שעל ידיהם, that because of certain expectations, certain actions, what happened? מפשפשים למעלה במעשיו. So in heaven they start searching over his deeds. לומר, they said, בוטח זה בזכויותיו, נראה מהם. He is trust upon his merits, so let's check them. ואלו הם, here are the lists. עיון תפילה, קיר נטוי. Someone who is standing close to the leaning wall and is dangerous, and this leaning wall can be, God forbid, Rashi said mekom sakana, that can, so that time it was all kind of kitrugim, it's all kind of word of the other side against the person. Second one, ve'iyun tefillah, a person that pray and expecting to get the check back from God as a result of his praying. Number three, ומוסר דין על חברו לשמיים. Meaning, Rashi said, בוטח הוא בזכויותיו שחברו יהיה נענש על ידו, which means Mr. let's call him Reuben did something to Shimon, and now Shimon did not take vengeance. However, he go before God and said, God, you make sure that you punish Reuben because what he did to me. So in that sense, in heaven they said to him, okay, if that's the case, let's check your case. In other words, you see here 3 examples that the person created some types of opening his case in judgment because he's standing close to a falling wall, or because he expecting his prayer to be fulfilled, or because he asked God to take vengeance against his fellow. So now you see it's a contradiction between the 2 statements. In one hand, what we said earlier, we said at the bottom of the previous page that someone who prolongs his prayer is good, and now you see it's different. So they said it's not difficulty. Halokashya ha de me'ayen ba, ha de lo me'ayen ba. So it means there is a different state. At a certain time a person is there because he's expecting some result, and there are other expectations, other situations that the person is not expecting a certain result right away. So the earlier in the Gemarah and Berachot, in page 32, the Gemarah said in 32b, I think. So the Tosefta there said, פירוש שמצפה שתבוא בקשתו, it's a 32b, that לפי שכיוון בתפילתו, a person is focusing in his prayers, expecting that everything is going to happen because he was praying. So he said that this is something that the person created danger for himself. Another proof, it's the what they said in Gemarah in Shabbat, Kuf Kaf Zayin Amud Aleph 127a. The Gemarah said that it's a 2 different category. One, it's someone that he is just focusing in order to understand the prayer, so he prolongs his prayer in order to get deeper in the prayer. Another one is praying long because he wants to have some expectations. So the resolution is the answer is which means if a person prolongs his prayer and is just focusing on the meaning of every word, that's lema'alyuta, that's wonderful. If a person prolongs his prayer because he's expecting a reward, that's not good. So now again, we talk about the length. V'amarich al shulchano, someone who spent long time on his table. Dilma ate anya v'yahivle. The reason that he makes the seuda, the meal long, because he figured out a poor person may come, and then I'll give him food. Dichtiv hamizbeach etz shalosh amot gavoa וכתיב וידבר אליי זה השולחן אשר לפני השם. So the reason that he make it available for the poor, it's because the altar of wood was the 3 amot tall, and then it's written, this is the table before the God. What does that mean? This is the table. They said in Ezekiel 41 that it's like the table has it carries some type of altar. A person, we said at our home, since it's no longer a temple, our home is a miniature temple, and then the table is some type of altar. Putting a salt on the food is part of preparation for the meal. Patach b'mizbeach v'siyem b'shulchan. We begin the verse from quotation about the altar, and we ended by bringing the table. Rabbi Yochanan ורבי אלעזר דאמרת רוויו, כל זמן שבית המקדש קיים, מזבח מכפר על ישראל. As long as the temple is in existence, so then the altar created an atonement for the nation of Israel. ועכשיו, but now that is no longer a temple, so what we have in a substitute, שולחנו של אדם מכפר עליו, which means that the table, the manner of tables, which is bringing poor people, so they said tzedakah tasiv mimavet. So the Abu Raham said that charity will save from death. That's a sentence, book of Proverbs, means that by doing charity, which is giving a food to the poor, that's in an atone for a person's sin. That's some type of some form of atonement. And then we said another phase of prolonging longevity is v'amarich bebet hakiseh, that someone is in a bathroom spend long time. So they said me'al yutahi, is that something that is really beneficial? Ve'atanya asara dvarim mevi'in et ha'adam lidei tachtoniyut, which means there are 10 things that can create for a person a disease of hemorrhoids. האוכל עלי קנים, one who eat leaves of reeds, ועלי גפנים, and grapevines, leaves, ולולבי גפנים, shoots of grapevine, ומורגי בהמה, a rich portion of animals, ושדרו של גג, the backbone of a fish, we need to know which one, ודג מליח שאינו מבושל כל צורכו, it's a salty fish that was not completely cooked, והשותה שמרי יין, drink the lees of wine, those who are on the very bottom of the bottle, והמקנח בסיד, white himself in those days with a lime ובחרסית, pottery, והמקנח בצרו שקינח בו חברו, one who uses friends to wipe his fellow, people that his fellow use, ויש אומרים אף התולה עצמו בית הכיסא יותר מדי, the one who spend himself too much time in the bathroom. So what does that mean? So in other words, Rashi explained that he wasn't sit there, that שאינו יושב על ברכיו שמתוך קו מקווה מבטחים יותר מדי, which means it not sit, so it's his internal part, it's open too much. So it's contradicted one another. So it said lo kashya hademarich v'tale demarich v'lo tale. One is spending long time in the bathroom, suspends himself, and the other one is without. He sits on something, so it's different. Now is a story that's crucial to understand this concept. Ki Ada amra le matronita. Matronita is important woman. So that great, the important woman said to Rabbi Dr ברבי פניך דומים למגדלי חזירים ומלווי בריבית. Your face looks like people who are either lend money with a high interest, like hard money lenders, or people who raise pig birds. So again, Rashi said שכרן מרובה בלא טורח, that they work very little and they make tons of money. ושמחים בחלקם, they're always happy. וכך פניהם צהובים, so they looks like very happy. אמר לי, הימנותה, he said to her, הימנותה is like a language of oath. Rashi said here, כלומר, and in my book I explain that that's like a affirmation of statement. לדידי תרוויו אסירן. According to my belief, both raise pigs and lend money with interest, both of them are forbidden. So we are forbidden to lend money with interest, and to raise pig, it's all the Gemarah Bava Kama 82. So what are you talking about? אלא 24 בית הכיסא איכא מאושפיזאי לבית מדרשה דכי יזלינא בדקינא נפשי בחולו. So it's like 24 bathrooms are available between my home to the house of study, and every time I go, I spend time to all of them. So for sure, it doesn't mean that he stops in every bathroom frequently when he goes. That's not. The Piskei Arid and others explain to us that he has an availability to use any of those 24 places, which means he can use one, or he can use none, or he can use 5. But it means you have 24 places that you can use as a bathroom. So therefore, I check myself in all of them. So that's the difference. ואמר רב יהודה, שלושה דברים, since we talk about 3 things that prolong the lives of a person, now we talk about shorten, the opposite way. שלושה דברים מקצרים ימיו ושנותיו של אדם. 3 things make the life of a person shorter. 1, מי שנותנים לו ספר תורה לקרות ואינו קורא. Someone you honor to give a Torah scroll and it doesn't bother, doesn't read. For example, you call someone from Aliyah, right? And you refused, or someone is Meiri said he's too arrogant to read from the Torah. He knew it, but he he said that he cannot do it, right? For all kind of reasons, pre-tax or whatever. The other one, kos shel bracha levarech v'no mevarech. You give him a cup to do the blessing before for example, blessing after meal, the Berakhot Amazon, and he doesn't want to do it. 3, והמנהיג עצמו ברבנות. What does that mean? So someone who Rabbeinu Hananel said that he bring like a feeling of forceful, asking a forcefully respect from others, and he is looking for great recognition all these times. So all of that shorten a person's life. Now we elaborate on that. Number 1, sources. Sefer Torah likrot ve'no koreh. If you give someone Torah scroll to read and he's not reading, so dichtiv ki hu chayecha v'orech yamecha, that's your length of life. So since it's your length of life, so they said in the Deuteronomy 30, that's the sword of your blessing. Second, kos shel bracha levarech v'no mevarech, dichtiv avarcha mevorachecha. Give him a cup to do benediction after meal and he's not doing it. So it's a life shortened, because they said, I will bless you those who bless you, which means that this is a special text that said that you will be blessed. Rashi said, "V'ambarech Berakhot Amazon, v'ambarech lebal habayit." You're basically thanking the owner and Hashem for that. So it's a very incongruous and a very rude in a way not to do it. והמנהיג עצמו ברבנות, one who assume authority, דאמר רבי חמא בר חנינא מפני מה מת יוסף קודם לאחיו. As you know that several days ago on Rosh Hashanah, Yosef released from his jail. But if you read the Torah, they said, וימות יוסף, Yosef died, וכל אחיו וכל הדור ההוא. First Yosef died, and then later his brother died. Why he was the first one? מפני שהנהיג עצמו ברבנות. Because that he was assumed a authority. Because if you see the way he turns, yes, he lived 110 years, and all his brothers, they live 120. So again, this is part of the memra that someone who's get the authority, especially over his brethren, it's not something that it's wise or beneficial, if it actually happened with Joseph in that sense. But I suggested those who wants to read more should read in Iyun Yaakov and Pirkei the Rabbi Eliezer. V'amar Rav Yehuda Amar Rav. Since we bring a different memra from Rav Yehuda Amar Rav, so we bring another memra. Shlosha tzrichim rachamim. There are 3 that need a special mercy, special compassion from God. In other words, that we should pray for God's mercy. 1, Melech Tov. If he's a king, we need to have a good one. Shana Tova. We're just beginning of the year. We don't know, especially when it's come to the weather and those who depend upon the crop and the harvest. V'chalom tov, and a good dream. Sources. Melech tov dechtiv palgei mayim lev melech biyad Hashem. They said in the book of Proverbs 21, they said that like streams of water is the heart of a king in the hand of Hashem. Shana tova dechtiv תמיד עיני השם אלוקיך בה, מראשית השנה ועד אחרית שנה. They said in Deuteronomy 11 that the eyes of the Lord is always upon it, which is the land of Israel, beginning of the year to the end of the year. Then חלום טוב, דכתיב, they said in Isaiah, ותחלימני והחייני. They said in Isaiah 38, may you make me dream and give me life. So you see that all these three things it's like, in a sense, in our language, in the fully and only in the hand of God. So we need to ask for a special kindness, a special mercy. Talk 3, אמר רבי יוחנן, רבי יוחנן said, 3 דברים מכריז עליהם הקדוש ברוך הוא בעצמו. There are 3 things that come directly from God. Which are they? 1, ואלו הם רעב, if it's a famine, ושובע, plenty of food, ופרנס טוב, and also a good leader. Because it's all of this, it's not come in our language by nature, and it's all directed from God. You need to have God to interfere with that. Sources. רעב דכתיב כי קרא השם לרעב. רעב, you know, because it's written כי קרא השם לרעב וגם בא אל הארץ 7 שנים. They said in the book of Kings, second one, chapter 8, that God called upon the famine. סובה, plenty, דכתיב וקראתי לדגן והרביתי אותו ולא אתן לכם רעב. They said in Ezekiel 36 that I call upon the grain and I increase it, so I bring you an abundance. פרנס טוב, דכתיב, a good leader, because it's written, וידבר השם אל משה, ראה קראתי בשם בצלאל בן אורי בן חור למטה יהודה. They said in Exodus 31 that God said to Moshe Rabbeinu, saying, I am called upon Betzalel. Betzalel was the leader that basically the architect of the Beit HaMikdash. אמר רבי יצחק, אין מעמידים פרנס על הציבור, אלא אם כן נמלכים בציבור. If you want to bring some leader over the community, you have to get their consent. Consult with them, consent, depending how you take it, right? If the person is really entitled, they have a great resume and is fully qualified, you still need to have the consent of the community. שנאמר ראו קרא השם בשם בצלאל. That they said that God proclaimed the name Betzalel, Betzel-El, in the divine providence shadow. אמר לו הקדוש ברוך הוא למשה, God said to Moses, משה, הגון עליך בצלאל, אמר לו, אם לפניך הגון, לפני לא כל שכן. He says, you think, God said to Moses, you think that he's worthy בצלאל? He says, if it's good for you, so you ask me. אמר לו, אף על פי כן לך אמור להם. Even though, nevertheless, you should go and tell the people of Israel. הלך ואמר להם ישראל, אמרו לו, אמר להם ישראל, הגון לכם בצלאל. He asked the children of Israel, are בצלאל, it's someone that it's הגון is worthy. אמרו לו, אם לפני הקדוש ברוך הוא, לפניך הוא הגון, לפנינו לא כל שכן. If God accepted and God think that he is worthy, so for us we ask, so it's like for sure. So now we learn more about בצלאל. אמר רבי שמואל בר נחמני, אמר רבי יוחנן נתן, בצלאל על שם חוכמתו נקרא בצל-אל, in the divine providence shadow, which means that in the shadow of God. Why? It was named because of his tremendous wisdom. בשעה שאמר לו הקדוש ברוך הוא למשה, when God told Moses, לך אמור לבצלאל עשה לי משכן ארון וכלים, God asked him to make a tabernacle, art and utensils. הלך משה ואמר לו, עשה ארון וכלים למשכן. Moses went to בצלאל and told him the opposite. Make the ark and the vessels and the tabernacle. So Betzalel, with his wisdom, said, Moshe Rabbeinu, Moses, our leader, מנהגו של אדם, אדם בונה בית ואחריו מכניס לתוכו כלים. ואתה אומר לי, עשה ארון וכלים למשכן. Usually a person purchases a home and then he bring vessels into it. Here you tell me to make the ark, vessel and then the tabernacle. What's the idea? כלים שאני עושה לאן אכניסם? If I make all these utensils, where should I put them? שמא כך אמר לו הקדוש ברוך הוא, עשה משכן וארון וכלים, לא שמא בצל אלא היית וידעת. So maybe God said that make it tabernacles and the ark and the vessels, and Moses said to him, no, perhaps you are Betzalel, you are in the shadow of God, because you know how to do it. So Rashi, as the Tosefta said, ואם תאמר לך אשכחן שציווה הקדוש ברוך הוא לעשות משכן תחילה, where do you know that God has to do משכן first? הרי בפרשת תרומה כתיב ארון תחילה, in the book of Exodus it's written first the ark, it says ויש לומר את פרשת כי תישא כתיב את אוהל מועד ואת ארון לעדות. It's written earlier in a portion of Exodus, but anyway Rashi said ראה קראתי בשם ראה משמע יש בלבך תן אינך בדבר, which means that it's an order that's written in Parashat Ki Tisa. Now, how really Bezalel was a young man, how he was able to put together the tabernacle? אמר רב יהודה, אמר רב יהודה, בצלאל לצרף אותיות שנבראו בהם שמיים וארץ. בצלאל has the ability to put together a combination of letters and words that combine the heaven and the earth. So Rashi said, על ידי צירופן, ובספר יצירה תן אלוהו. Rashi said that the joining the Hebrew alphabet in the verse combination, that's what he knew. It's like those combination of letters. When Rashi referred to Sefer Yetzirah, just a word of understanding, there are certain Kabbalah books. It's called Sifrut Echalot, Echalot Zutra, Echalot Rabati. There is a Sifrut Merkava that starts with the chariot in the book of Ezekiel. But is attributed to the 6th century, the Sefer Yetzirah, book of creation, that from that they derived the 32 path of wisdom, and later they developed in the 11th, 12th centuries, 13th century to a lot of wisdom, Zoharic wisdom, fully develops from the foundation of Sefer Yetzirah, which means that he take the Hebrew alphabet, he make them the numerical values, and he combine letters in a certain way, and he focus on those letters with his mind, and the person will be able to comprehend and unite some part of the godly part, the general godly understanding to human understanding, which means that basically it was at the 11th century a great rabbi by the name of Rabbi Abu Lafia, and he wrote as a development of Sefer Yetzirah all kind of books that dealing with in our simple language magic Kabbalah, which means that dealing with numbers and how to put letters and numbers and create something. And for sure it was heavily rejected, but the point is that he was part of the development of Sefer Yetzirah, which is one of the earliest books in Kabbalah, attributed basically to the 6th century. So here we said that Bezalel was able to take the numbers and the letters in such a math way, and will be able to fulfill the godly request of building the tabernacle, building the ark and the tabernacle. כתיב אחא וימלא אותו רוח אלוקים בחוכמה בתבונה ודעת. In one place they say that God filled him with the spirit and wisdom and understanding and knowledge. וכתיבתם, and is another source, it's written, השם בחוכמה יסד הארץ, כונן שמיים בתבונה. So it means in one hand is in Exodus 35 that said that God gave him wisdom, and the same token they said in the book of Proverbs chapter 3 that God founded the earth and wisdom and established the heavens with understanding. וכתיב בדעתו תאומות נבקעו ושחלקים ירפאו טל, said again in the Proverbs chapter 3 that through God's knowledge the depth of the cleave. So basically the Bezalel was the person who had the wisdom and the understanding and the knowledge to create the world. Amar Rabbi Yochanan, so we derive from that another thing. We said, Rabbi Yochanan said, אין הקדוש ברוך הוא נותן לחוכמה אלא מי שיש בו חוכמה. God not give wisdom, only those who has the capability, have the vessels to accept wisdom. שנאמר, it's written, יהב חכמתה לחכימים ומן דעה ליודעי בינה. They said in the book of Daniel chapter 2 that God will wisdom to the wise and knowledge to those understanding. So it means that those who really deserve it. They said the first of wisdom is the fear of God. So in order to do that, you need to have the foundation. שמע רב תחליפה במערבה ואמרה כמי דרבי אבא, הוא אמר לי, אתון מהטעם מתנית ולה. How do you learn that? אנן מהכה מתניתנה. You learn from different sources, we learn from this one. תכתיבו בלב כל חכם לב, Natati Chokhmah. They say that in the book of Exodus, chapter 31, that God gave to every one of those people who in charge the heart that will all wise-hearted God put in them. So since we talk about dream, אמר רב חיסדא כל חלום ולא תבעת, ואמר רב חיסדא חלמה לא מפשט גרתה לא מקריה. רב חיסדא said that any dream, not dream of fasting, when a person fasts, that it's a different story. It's a fast with a bad dream, or it's different situation. But other than that, it's said ki igra de lo make. It's like the letter that not been read, which means that it basically, as Rashi said, that כל חלומותיו יראה אדם ולא יראה עוד אחד מאותם שהוא שרוי בתענית שאינו טוב. So basically that it's like a letter that would not be read. So it's no meaning. דבר מכריזדה לא חלמתיו המקיים כולה ולא חלמביש המקיים כולי. It's nothing to do with positive or negative dream. אמר חיסדא חלמה בישה עדיף מחלמתיו. A negative dream is better than a positive dream. Why? Because the rabbis hold that it's good for people to do teshuvah. And how do people make teshuvah? So Rashi said, עדיף מחלמתיו שמביא את האדם לידי תשובה. That is it, bring a person to return to God. So therefore, it's better to see a dream that is bad, so it's wake up the soul of a person. You see, God forbid, tomorrow you need to fly to Boston, the plane crashed. You see it on a dream, so he's broken heart, so he make the teshuvah. So it's good. Bad dream, it's good for the person. ואמר רב חיסדא חלמה בישה עציבותי מסתייי חלמתיו החטא ומסתייי. He says the negative dream, the sadness is suffice for it. Positive one is joy suffice from it. How? אמר רב יוסף חלמתיו אפילו לדידי בדיחותי מפק חלי. A good dream, even that I am in all kind of situations, it's nullified by its joy. It's bringing a good vibe, good joy. Rashi explained to us that since Rav Yosef was blind, so that's the whole idea, that being blind, he was able to be happy even with his situation. So what do we understand so far? That it's like bad dream, it's not necessarily bad, it can be good. אמר רב יוסף חלמה טבע אפילו לדידי בדיחותי מפק חלי. Says a good dream, a positive dream, even for me, when I dream it, it's like nullified by his joy. I have fun with that. Why? Again, he was blind. אמר רב חיסדא חלמה בישה קשה מנגדה. A negative dream is worse than receiving a malkot, like a lashing, right? Because bad dream, they explain, Rashi explained that it's create anguish and frighten of a person. שנאמר, והאלוקים עשה שיראו מלפניו. Because they said that God stand, it said in Ecclesiastic chapter 3, that God has acted thus that men stand and fear of him, which is the awe of amazement of God. That's applied to negative dream. So Rashi said, what does that mean? He explained, that the person will see a bad dream, he gets so frightened, so he make it a shuvah, and he subjugated himself to God. הנביא אשר אותו חלום יספר חלום. So now we bring another source. They said in the book of Jeremiah, chapter 23, they said that the prophet will tell a dream, ואשר דברה ואיתו ידבר דבר אמת, מעטב ונתברנו מהשם, she bring all kind of sources, וכי מעיין בר ותר ונצר חלום. What's the question between chaff and wheat in a dream, אלא אמר רבי יוחנן משום רבי שמעון בן יוחאי, כשם שאי אפשר לבר בלא תבן, כך אי אפשר לחלום בלא דברים בטלים. The same way as every bar, which means every chaff, wheat without chaff, it's impossible. So the same thing, it's impossible to have a dream that import meaning without some stupid, senseless ideas that mix with this. אמר רבי ברכיה, חלום, אף על פי שמקצתו מתקיים, כולו אינו מתקיים. A dream, that even part of that fulfill, the whole dream is not. It's like the teaching of Carl Jung or Adler. So, partially fulfill, fully not fulfill. Menalan Yosef. How do you know that? Because you prove from Book of Genesis the story of biblical Joseph. Dechtiv, Vina Shemesh Vayarech. Joseph saw the sun and the moon. So in his dream, the sun and moon, it's like he applied to Joseph's parents. And then he saw 11 stars, which is his brothers, right? But the bottom line in the dream was some ambiguousness, something that was. But that moment, his mother wasn't there. That moment, his mother was no longer among the living. So since his mother was no longer among the living, therefore it wasn't complete realization of a dream. And that very moment that Joseph dreamed this, basically his mother wasn't around. אמר רבי לוי, למה יצפר אדם לחלום טוב על 22 שנה מנהלן מיוסף? A person should expect a dream up to 22 years. We learn from Joseph דכתיב אלה תולדות יעקב ו17 שנה. You learn that this is the life of Jacob. Joseph was 17 years old. So what does that mean? וכתיב Joseph was 30 years old when he stood before Pharaoh. So if you count the years, min shav serei, how many years there are from the age of 17 to 30? It's 13 years. Veshav de Sava, Vetar de Chafna, and you have the 7 years of tremendous wealth, and then it was 2 years of famine. So you wrap it up all together, December time, you have a total of 22 years. So it was 22 years that until the Joseph dream fulfilled. אמר רבונה לאדם טוב אין מראים לו חלום טוב, לאדם רע אין מראים לו חלום רע. So Ravuna said to a positive dream, you don't show to a positive dream. So Rashi explains, because we want the person to, in a sense, to be concerned, to worry, and as a result, he will make a teshuvah and he will return to God. So a good person, good trait, to show him in that sense a bad dream, and vice versa. Tanina me'achet, the same thing we learn in the Braita. All the years, כל שנותיו של דוד לא ראה חלום טוב, all the years that King David lived, he never saw a good dream. However, כל שנותיו של אחיתופל לא ראה לה חלום רע. In the years of Achitophel, one of the advisor, he never saw a bad dream. So again, he's going to show you a via negativa, that in one hand, a bad character like Achitophel always have a good dream, and David is the opposite. So it's going to show you that it's go by the consequences. Soon you see the interpretation of those dreams. Ve'achtiv lo tuneh lecha ra, it's written in Psalm 91 that not bad, evil will befall upon you. So which means that the meaning of the sentence is that you shouldn't be afraid, shouldn't be concerned of the bad dreams and all kind of evil thoughts. And another part, that the other sentence that said that something not come to attend, it means that you go on a way or on a journey, you don't see wife, and then you see her, she's in a question if she's in a state of nida or not. You return from a journey and all of a sudden she's nida, so it's like one of the things that it's like a sum for protections. Which means Rav Huna meant that a good person, righteous person himself, did not see the negative dream, and instead others will see a dream that is basically negative in concern of that person. וכי לא חזה היא ומעליות היא? If the righteous person does not see a bad dream is something positive, אמר רב זעירא, רב זעירא said, כולן שבא אליהם לא חלום נקרא רע, שנאמר ושווה ילין בה להיפקל רע, תקרא שווה לשבע, which means they said that if you don't see a 1 week of a dream, it said in the book of Mishnah, in the Proverbs 19, that it's not a positive thing. So it means that it's 7. Like if you don't see a 7 days dream, is a wicked person, because usually the dream, especially if they're bad, it will wake you up your heart. The person see a dream, he don't remember, he doesn't know what he saw, etc. If someone see a bad dream, supposed to fly tomorrow to Boston, and you see the plane crashed and you are worried, so you go before 3 people and they basically interpret it positively. So say, if how they will be able to interpret, if some people don't interpret a dream, it's like the same as you have a letter and you don't read it, which means it's like if something not interpreted, so it's meaningless. You bring a remedy. It's like you said a dream and the presence of 3 people, and as a result, they like in our language they reverses. They give you a positive interpretation, positive outcome. And how should you go about? רחמן לשב לטב, שבזמין לגזור עליך משמע לטבה. Go before 3 people, and he said to them, I saw a bad dream, and they said, it will be for good, and they repeated 3 times, and it's over. ולאמרו 3 הפוכות ו3 בדיות ו3 שלומות. Maybe they should say 3 verses that they transferred for good, and 3 verses of redemption and 3 of peace. 3 הפוכות הכתיב, הפכתם מסביב למחול לקטעת שגב השמחה. They said in the book of Psalms, that God turned around everything in Psalm 30, and when you think about that, things turn for good. Another idea of happiness, אז תשמח בתולה ובמחול, ובחורים וזקנים יחדיו. They said in book of Jeremiah 31, it will be a time that maidens should rejoice and dance, and the young men will live. הפכתי בלן ישראל, so that all the mourners will turn for good. ולא אהבה השם לוקח לשמוע על בלעם ויהפוך. This is the pesukim that we say usually on Saturday night from the first book of Samuel, chapter 14. 3 Deut, that we say part of the psukim after Avdallah, or some said before the Avdallah. דכתיב פדה בשלום נפשי מקרב לי, that Hashem redeem my soul in peace against the enemy. ופדויה השם ישובון, that they said that all this redeemer of God will return. ויאמר עם אל שאול יונתן ימות ישר ישועה. The people said to King Saul, is Jonathan going to die? He did so much good. It's in Samuel chapter 14. So it's all positive. 3 שלומות. What is the 3 שלומות? The 3 peace. דכתיב בורא לי שפתיים שלום שלום לרחוק ולקרוב אמר השם ורפאתיו. ורוח לבשה את המסי ואמרתם כל החי אתה שלום אותך שלום. This is all psukim that we said in Saturday night, and it's all expression of peace. It's the different phrases from the Chronicle, from Samuel, etc. המאיר ומרזוטרה ורבשי הבויד ובעלי הדרדי. These are 3 great rabbis sitting together. אמרי כל אחד ואחד מנהלים מעמית על לא שמיע לחברי. Each one says something that the other doesn't know. פתח מנהל ואמר, היי מה לך זכם אבל לא יודע מה חזה, if someone see a dream and doesn't know what is the dream all about, לקם כמי כהנה, he should go before the time the Kohanim give the blessing of the priest, at the time that they come up to the bima and give the blessing. Bina the Farsi, when they open their hands, they spread their hand, right, doing the recitation, repetition of the Amidah. And that's the language we use all the time. ריבונו של עולם הסתובב universe, אני שלך וחלומותיך שלך. I have a dream, and all the dream is used. חלום חלמתי ואני יודע מה, I have a dream and I don't know what it's all about. Regardless, בין שכנתי לעצמי ושכנו אליי חברם, regardless if I dream it or others for me, because sometimes other people dream about you, and vice versa. ובין שחלמתי על אחרים, if I dream about others, אם טובים מחזקים מאמצים כחלומתם של סביב, זה a good dream. To strengthen them, the same as Joseph, the dream. ואם צריכים רפואה, if they needed healing, לפעמים כמשל מי מראה לידי משה רבנו, the same bitterness that was healed by Moses, וכמרים מצערתה, the same as biblical Miriam when she had her leprosy, וחזקיה ומחוליו, the same as the king חזקיה from his illness, וכמי יריחו לידי אלישע, the same as Elijah was healed in the river of Jericho, כשם שלה הפכת כללת בלעם הרשע, Berachot, the same way as he turned around the curse of Bilam, the evil Bilam in the Bible, in the book of Numbers, from evil, from curse to blessing. The same way as you turn around all the bad dream for good. And the person should take the time of recitation, finish together with the Kohanim. The Anetzibur Amen, when everybody else said the Amen, which is approbation, Kel Melech Ne'eman. Ve'ilo, but if he's not finished earlier, he should say, which you see it on the prayer book, mighty of high, who dwell in power, Ata Shalom, Shemcha Shalom, Yeratzon Shtasim Alon Shalom. Your name is peace, you are our dwelling on peace, may you grant us with peace. So that the person basically reverse in that sense the dream, or pave the way that the dream should be good for good. Patach idach, v'amar Hayman de ale lemata. The Chailman Abishad is a city that called Mata, and he's afraid of the evil eye. Linkot zak feliad miminei biad dimsvalei v'sav David dimsvalei biad miminei v'lemaache anaplonim barponim zar Yosef Karatina loshata ben Abishad Shnemara ben Porat 7 Porat Alein. So you should say this special formula. You take the right hand and the left hand. You said, I am descendant of Joseph, that the evil eyes will not control him. And the Rashi said that he was like a viceroy king, and it was a lot of reason between his beauty and between his power. It was a lot of evil eyes, but it was the evil eye has no power against him, and that's what the blessing that Jacob gave him at the very end of the book of Genesis, that you are a charming son of Joseph, that you are charming and that you are above the evil eye, that the evil eye will not control you. That it means that it's over the eyes. רבי יוסף בר חנינא אמר מאחה וידגו לרוב בקרב בארץ מלאגים שמים נכנסים אליהם ועין הרע שלא בהם אף זרוע שלא יוצא ועין הרע שלא בהם. One of the reasons we eat fish on Rosh Hashanah is because we say the fish are fruitful and multiplies. The one of the things they say the evil eye will not control the fish, the same way as the evil eye will not control the fish, the same way as the evil eye will not control the person. So for a person, sometimes a person afraid of his own evil eye, he need to hold his nostril on his left side, which it's a little bit above. Rashi said the left side of his nostril, but it was probably some type of segula in those days. Someone who's taking Alright, so the first day he should not reveal himself to others, so his situation will not get worse. From that on he can go public. So he said the first day he didn't tell anybody. Then he told his attendants, assistant, he says, come and declare that I am sick. Why? So those who care for me, who pray for mercy and compassion, those who hate me, so they joy over me, and they say that you should not be happy when you have a downturn upon your enemy, because what's happening is God can, they said in Proverbs, God can reverse it. That God see and displeased in his eyes, so either way I'm going to win. If it's my friend, they pray for my well-being. If there's somebody who don't like me, so they pray out, they express their joy. As a result, everything will reverse for good. Shmuel was a giant sage, and he saw a negative dream. He said, this is said in the book of Zechariah, chapter 10, that the dream is no meaning. It's like dismiss the dream. When he saw a good dream, so you're going to tell me that the dreams is not true? He said about God speaking to Moses that he spoke him in a dream. It's the book of Numbers chapter 12. In one place it said that God speak to Moses in a dream, and the other one they said that the dream speaks lies. So how come? There's one way that the dream come toward some type of a God emissary in a sense of angel, and the other one toward demons. So demons, it's a lot of idea, especially in those days, it's special meaning. Amar Bizna Bar Zavna Amar Rabbi Akiva אמר רבי פנדה, אמר רב נחום, אמר רבי בירים, משום זקן אחד, ומינו רבי בנה. 24 פותרי חלומות היו בירושלים. פעם אחת חלמתי חלום, והלכתי אצל כולם. These are 24 dream interpreters in Jerusalem. And one time I have a dream, and I went to all of them. Masha patar lize, lo patar lize. One interpreted one way and the other the different way, drive you crazy. וכולם נתקיימו בי, אבל all of this interpretation happened to me. Why? לכן שנאמר, כל החלומות הולכים אחרי הפה. Which means all the dream go by the power of a speech. So there's a lot of interpretation. In general, the Maharsha and Yaakov, etc., they have a lot of explanation. One is a dream as a meaning, especially if it's repeated 3 times at the same time, if it's a clear message that have instructions, etc. But there is a different type of dreams. Like some dream is like vision, that you see a particular things that apply to certain thing. It's like a dream that have some prophecy. But in basic idea is the dream is followed by the power of a speech, which means whatever the person interpreted or the way that he visualized the word of the dream, that's basically the result. Expert will tell you that it's go by the subconscious, the way that you think earlier, that's what's going to happen. You said that all you dream a mouth, there's a scripture, there's a Torah. Rabbi Dr said, how do you know that all the dream go by the expression of the mouth? They said that those people in the time of ancient Egyptians, when they came before the king and they said that that's what Joseph interpreted, they said whatever he told us, that's what's happened. But this apply only when they interpret the dream and the vision, what is approximate way of what the dreamer really see. It's written, each person according to his dream. For example, the minister of a bake, he saw the way that Joseph interpreted the dream of the other. How do you know? Each one they show the dream and they show the other fellow the interpretation of the other dream. If a person wake up and he see a verse from the Torah, it's like a minor prophecy. ואמר רבי יוחנן 3 חלומות מתקיימים חלום של שחרית וחלום שחלם לו חברו וחלום שנפטר בתוך חלום. 3 dreams have a fulfillment, which again it's above the scope of this study. We just give the abbreviation. One is a dream that the person when he was awake is like some type of vision. One is his fellow dream for him, is a fellow dream for a person. The Maharsha elaborated on that and he said that it's like somebody dream of someone else that have an application. And one, if you have interpretation of a dream within the dream itself. There is another version that said if you see a dream twice or 3 times, that when he interpreted the dream to Pharaoh, Joseph interpreted, he says because it was a repetition, it carry 2 times. Pharaoh have a 2-time dream, so Joseph said because it's twice, it's tell us that it's going to happen, God is going to accomplish it. אמר בשמואל בר נחמני אמר רבי יונתן, אין מראים לו לאדן אלא מהרהורי ליבו. The person is in the subconscious and he's thinking in a certain way, and that's what they show him in a dream. שנאמר, אנט מלכה רעיונך על משכבך סליקו. Because they said in that pasuk in the book of Daniel, when King Nebuchadnezzar asked Daniel about the dream, so Daniel interpreted and he said, you meaning the king Nebuchadnezzar, you thought came while you are in your bed. So in other words, it's like some relate to subconscious. It's in many ways it's the modern psychologists, the Sigmund Freud and Adler or Carl Jung and all these great modern psychologists, they speak about the realization of the subconscious. When a person having in subconscious some development of something, then he have an expression while in his dream. Me'acha ורעיוני לבבך תנדע, because they said that Daniel told him that he interpreted the dream to Nebuchadnezzar and said, as for me, not because I possess more the wisdom, and it's just told the way that you saying to the interpretation, make the interpretation, know the king, you may know that it's occupy your thought. So it's you thought that the king Nebuchadnezzar have, that's have the fulfillment to אמר רבא, תדע, דלא מרחבו להנה שלא דיקלה דדאבה ולא פילה דאל בקופה למחתה. He said, Rava said, you should know in a dream a person cannot see like a palm of tree of gold, or he not see elephant in the eye of a needle, which means because all of these things just an example of extreme nekeva machat, Rashi said, which is a very rare, and therefore since this thing it's not realistic, so this interpretation, this dream, this type of thought and reflection, it's not when you see things that is not real in a dream, it's basically not result of the subconscious. By the way, Tosefta just said Mazal shat al-eda garis ben hadavar tolui b'chokhmah. When he speaks about dream interpretation, he says that sometimes what we call mazal, it sometimes depend upon, which again is above the scope of today's study, but it's like depend upon the time of the baby was born, and it's not related to the level of wisdom of a person. I would like to conclude with several halachot that we study today. The first halakha we study, it's about someone who me'ayen bitfilato. So the Shulchan Aruch Or HaChaim said in Tzadik Chet, Hamarich batfila, if someone have a long praying, En raui shitzpe miyad shene bekach al tfilato. A person should not expecting right away a respond, because davar ze mazkir avontam, it's open, just the opposite. They can open the door and say, oh, you're requesting a respond right away, and you're adamant about it, so you can turn around, not so good. Another one, siruv lekos bracha, the same Shulchan Aruch and Reish Aleph in 201 said, En raui laoreach lesarev kos shel bracha levarech. It's inappropriate, it's very incongruous for a guest to reject if the owner or propose him with make a blessing before the meal and use the cup and the blessing, and he somehow doesn't want to do it. It's just not right. Hatavat chalom, Shulchan Aruch Or HaChaim Resh Kaf, chapter 220. Acholem chalom ra, if someone see a bad dream, יבוא בשחרית בפני שלושה מדדיו ויאמר את נוסח ההטבה. If someone, God forbid, for example, saw a dream that is, God forbid, an accident. So you get the synagogue next morning, you get 3 people in a special nusach in the Sidurim, he said before them, and they were interpreted positively. Last halacha, the same Shulchan Aruch Or HaChaim Kuf Lamed 130. Chalam chalom ve'eno yodea ma'hu ve'choshesh. If someone has a dream and doesn't know what's it all about and is worried, Yomar bishat nusach kohanim nusach atfilah shebagmarah. You should say at the time of the blessing of the priest, the kohanim in Eretz Yisrael is every day. Here it's in the festival. When you hear the festival, the blessing of the priest, and they open their hands at that time. In between the paragraphs, there is a special nusach to say, and the source is in this Gemarah.